So back in 2012, I went on it's really been my one and only cruise. I went on a Holland America Alaskan tour up the Inside Passage of Alaska with my wife and my 18-month-old son. I was doing research for my novel, This Is Your Life, Harriet Chance. Here's the thing. Um, terms of the research, this is the kind of research you could fudge, and I've had to before. I mean, especially with like historical fiction and stuff where you can't go to a place that no longer exists. But like, this is something where I probably could have got a blueprint to the ship and found out how many pools there were, where's the Lido deck, where the different restaurants are, where the ballroom is. I could have probably interviewed some crew members, that kind of thing. I'm sure they've got pictures in the on online of the different cabins and what they look like. So I mean, I could have learned the footprint of the place and figured out all the locations, etc. When it comes to research, I always try to do it when I can because I always find that there's something that you can find out in the research because maybe they don't want you to know. For instance, like on the cruise ship, the first thing I noticed, and this is pre-pandemic, is you walk in and like every 15 feet, there's like a Purell container, and you're like, huh, I wonder what that's all about. Well, of course, we know that's because if they get a GI breakout in one of those things, it's good night, Irene. We've all heard those horror stories with, like 400 people trapped at sea with like, terrible diarrhea. So anyway, the cruise was great. No GI breakout. As I said, my wife and Owen, who was only he was like 18 months at the time. We lived at the pool for 7 days and up on the Lido deck, where the vistas are a constant thing, not like a Caribbean cruise where sometimes you're just looking at the horizon all day, apparently. When you go up the Inside Passage of Alaska, it's just like constant, like mountains and glaciers and verdant hillsides and fjords all day long on both sides of the ship. And also, as a part of my research at night, I pretty much would hit all the bars until they were closed. And so there was like a comedy club, which is not really my thing. There was kind of a discotheque vibe bar, which was not really my thing, but I had to check it out. There was more of a white tablecloth, sort of folky singer songwriter guy doing Neil Diamond songs, where the music was pretty good and all that, but just it wasn't really my vibe. It was a little bright in there. Um, so where I spent most of my time was the piano bar. So the piano bar is a special place in my heart because my big brother Davey, who does know me, who made the decision to end his life about 5 years ago, shortly near the beginning of the pandemic. He was a lounge singer. He was 14 years older than me. He was my idol. He was a humble servant of the Great American Songbook, from Kern to Van Heusen, Mercer, Carmichael, Rodgers and Hart. Music that was written and recorded long before his time. But as a result, I grew up around that music. So I grew up on Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald and Billy Eckstine and all the crooners, and you could play me 3 bars of just about any jazz standard, and I'll be able to name it, like, almost immediately. Um, I really miss my big brother, so whenever I listen to the standards, I think about him, and, there's very few people I can talk to about that music, or, talk about like a great Frank Lesser turn of phrase or something like that. But one of those people was somebody I met on that ship, and his name was Bryan Roper, and he was the piano man on the Holland America cruise ship. Now, he's a musician with a lot of more range than that, but that's how I know him, and that's how I frame him. He and because of this lifestyle he led, he was one of my beta readers, not only for This Is Your Life, Harriet Chance, but also My Good Side, which is the novel I just finished recently, which is inspired by my brother. I lean on my beta readers to make sure I'm not hitting any false notes, and he also helped me with some of the music stuff. So, the piano bar was my vibe, and Bryan Roper, I mean, closing that bar down with him every night for 7 days, he became a good friend of mine. He's been out to the garage. Um, and I was instantly like, I don't know. I mean, he was my guy. He's a guy in a fedora working the room like a pro, kinda like my brother would, getting the old lady's panties in a bundle, his tip jars bursting, just really knew how to work the room. He was such a disarming and approachable guy, and at the same time, such a great performer. Um, I love visiting with him between the sets every night and closing the bar down to him, where he let me basically interview him, ask him anything I wanted about the lifestyle, about great stories, and I'm ever so grateful for him for helping me on This Is Your Life, Harriet Chance, and My Good Side. So it is my sincere pleasure this week to welcome this week's fresh face in hell. I call him the piano man, Bryan Roper. Brian, welcome, my friend.
What's up, Jonathan?
It's been a couple years. Say
Yeah.
something for the people so they can hear listen to this guy's pipes. Listen to him.
Well, I don't know, man. You got me on the spot saying I have a great voice. I,
Oh, you
I got a new
do. Those
microphone,
pipes are
man.
so.
That's
I'm a
that's
puker. I'm like
yeah.
and it's kind of like I'm like maybe kind of a weak tenor, but you get those silky pipes, man.
I sang
Um,
baritone and choir, but no, thanks, man.
is that your natural? So you're a Barry?
I'm a baritone, and then I sang bass also in choir,
Okay.
but I think I talk in the baritone range probably.
Yeah, Sinatra was famously a baritone.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay, all right. I'm just like him then. Uh,
yeah. Yeah. Well, I just got through the big, kind of long, loving soliloquy about connecting with you on the Alaskan cruise ship. It's been a while. Um, I don't know, but it was a lifetime experience for me. I've never been on another one. After the pandemic, you know what I mean? It just got, you
yeah,
know what I'm saying? I don't know about that buffet. It was already a little sketchy, but like after the
it
pandemic,
was.
Um, so the listeners now know how I ended up there, but I guess I should ask. See, my brother would have killed for a cruise ship gig back in the '80s, as you know from my good side. That's what he's doing up in Juneau, is like trying to wait for the cruise season to come on and hook onto a gig. How did you end up getting a cruise ship gig?
Yeah, so that was an interesting set of circumstances, like a lot of things. I couldn't have planned it. So at the time, I was doing some web design and a DJ job in Tampa. I went to school for web design, but I didn't really like get a good job doing it. But I had been playing in a blues band by a mentor of mine named Gary Brown, and he was like the blues guy in Tampa. He was like my idol growing up. So I was playing with him already. That's a whole other story how that happened. But and I had started a little side dinner band where it was just me and a bass player and a saxophone player. And my bass player was quitting on me, and he said, "Dude, I'm quitting. I'm going to this cruise ship gig." And after I got done being mad, I was like, "Well, wait, what does he mean this cruise ship gig?" He's like, "Well, yeah, it's like you just stay on the cruise, and I don't have any bills out there, and I can save money, and we'll just play all these dance songs." And I'm like, "Well, that sounds kind of cool. Do they need a keyboard player?" And they did. So I joined this rock and roll. Actually, it was really just a dance band. Everything from the Commodores, playing keys for this band called the Dirt Poets, working for a guy named Don. And I did one contract of that for like a year. And while I was out there, I saw the piano bar guy who got his own room. I was sharing the room, making all these tips and making like a higher daily wage. So I was like, "Hey, can I play that guy's night off just to get my feet wet?" And I did, and I did well. And then a really cool music director named Jonathan Crespo kind of believed in me, and he got me my first cruise ship piano bar contract. And then after that, I was pure piano bar. So I kind of fell my way upwards towards it.
So at that point, is that when you? I mean, it seems like you always kind of knew the Great American Songbook, or is that something you learned more when you realized I'm kind of shifting towards more of a bit? So did you go out and
Yeah.
learn all the Tin Pan Alley songs more?
Yeah, I had to go learn them, and it was tough because when I joined that first piano bar contract, it was the Carnival Destiny. I only knew like 25 songs, and they were all like the Billy Joel. So I had to like fake my way through a lot of that and just learn what people were requesting. But it wasn't until years later when I went to Holland America and had an older crowd, and they were just like booing me because they were like, "Play, what are you doing the rest of your life?" and all these Cole Porter
There's a
songs.
small hotel, and yeah.
Oh, and I was like, "All right, let me learn these." I'm like, "Oh god, these are hard. These are not the 3 to 6 chord bangers that you can get in the pop rock repertoire." So it was when I did the longer cruises to the cooler places, they had an older crowd that wanted those, and that's when I mean, I always knew of those tunes and loved them, but that's when I had to like learn them and be able to play.
But the talk to me. Why are those tunes so enduring? I mean, you know, I mean, like, they can be, you know, they can be interpreted so many ways. Like, there's a lot of great songwriters, but like, you try to like, I mean, I've heard people try to do Leonard Cohen covers besides Jeff Buckley, but like, when people try to cover Leonard Cohen, and it doesn't translate because so much of Leonard Cohen's say his songwriting is him. You know what I mean? But there's
Yeah.
something about the standards that allows everybody from Ella to everybody on down the road to just take it and make their own. What do you think that is? I mean, as a musician,
I have a couple they're both weird theories.
I,
So
I like
the
weird.
the first one's a little bit cynical, but I think this theory replicates itself across lots of disciplines, whether you look at architecture or lots of art. It seems to me, sadly, in many ways, society is devolving. Like if you look back at things people used to make, not writing though.
Dude, for sure, the water
Yeah,
pump at my house, that
uh,
place went out of business because I still have it. It's 80 years old, and they don't have any there's no forced obsolescence, so it's like they went out of
yeah.
business because they couldn't sell you another water pump.
So I have a very. It's funny this comes up. I have a very strong opinion that I think the greatest album ever made, and maybe the best storytelling ever is Ella Fitzgerald sings the Johnny Mercer songbook. So if you or your audience has never done this, turn that album on start to finish. I think you know it. I think I maybe
You
have talked to you
gifted me
about this.
that album, and of
I
course, I
gifted
knew
you,
every song, and I had some of the recordings already, but, you gifted me that exact album.
but if you listen to the orchestration and the words and the passion, it's just so good. That era of music today, if you're a younger person and you learn some music, and then you jump on and try to learn some of those songs, like the voice leading and the chords and just the level of sophistication that's like not flashy for the sake of flashy. It's just well done. I think those songs endure because the themes were honest. I also think there's something about people talked less openly then. So I think there was without social media and without like the freedom we have to say anything we want to anybody, I think music was more of an outlet for people to pour themselves into that. And if you go research a lot of these writers, this is like their only outlet to be them, right? Even if you think of Cole Porter and how things were
Clearly,
for
yeah.
him back then, like the one place he could talk about love. So I think there's a bunch of elements that made that music just, I hate to say better because how do you quantify it? But it certainly sticks more from the harmony to the lyrics to the melodies. Like there's something magical about it for sure.
I think you hit on something with just the musicianship involved, and I know it's in the compositions as well, but you just think about the big band era, and you've got, like, countless big bands, each one of them with, like, 20 to 30 pieces of guys that could all read sheet music, that were all
Yes.
like they get, whole woodwind sections, brass sections, and all of these guys just total pros. They can
Yeah.
just, like, pick a they're not just and so that's what it took to be in a band in 1939, and by the time I got in a band, you could play, like, 3 chords on it, but, they just a couple
Right.
of notes on a bass, and I'm not saying not to take anything away from that either, but there's something like and you could take that a step farther to, like, Bach and Mozart, and you hear that shit, and it's like, like Goethe called it frozen architecture. You're just like, "Holy
Yeah.
shit, this is just,
Or even think of the notion beyond a band that like you're talking about a generation where multiple people in the family could read down music enough to make the piano the center of entertainment after family dinner. Like somebody would sit and just read music badly, and their badly is probably better than what a lot of people did. So there was also this generational thing where we were coming off the generations that like music was the entertainment, like the piano was the entertainment and the family singing together. So I just think everybody back then was a little bit closer to the chops of music, let alone the professionals, but even your everyday people. Like my grandmother could plink out some chords and play through Christmas carols better than I could for
yeah,
years.
even
And
into the early '70s, like, almost every kid could play Heart and Soul, right?
something,
Dun, dun,
right?
dun, 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 bum,
Yeah,
bum, bum, ba-dum, like, I mean, everybody knew that.
everybody knew it. And now, I mean, where do you even see a real piano anymore, man? That always hurts me. Even the nice hotels now.
Um
Um,
how did you connect with the standards? I mean, because let's face it, I mean, they tend towards romanticism, not always. I mean, there's some really dark standards, like
mhm.
black coffee and things like that. But you got
Yeah.
a lot of polka dots and moonbeams and things like that. And even when it's dark, it's sort of sneakily dark. How did you connect? Did you connect with those songs? As a guy
Well,
who's been playing
yeah,
the Commodores and been playing blues and playing
for sure. No, so one thing I really liked reading in your book was the character's good at those. I've always admired people that were great at them because they never came natural for me. So my first relationship with those standards as a musician was one of just like kind of anger because I was like, I've heard guys just burn through these. I feel like I'm a good musician and these are giving me real trouble. So it was kind of hitting that wall of like, I'm outclassed by these. And I think maybe, you hear them, hearing something passively before you dive in and try to learn a piece of music, you connect on a different level. So I think the first thing is they were formidable and made me feel inadequate. And when you are comfortable feeling inadequate at something formidable, you tend to dissect the pieces and appreciate them. And I think that's what kind of like led me to connect more with reading each word and like, man, look what he did with these chords here. That's so weird, but the shift happened so great. So that was I had this love-hate relationship with them really because they never came as natural. And I was never until this day, I'm not the greatest standard guy. I have maybe 10 or 15 that are like are really in my bag that if I want to flex on, I'll break them out. I could sit in on a band and like comp my way through most of them mediocrely at best today. But I didn't have the relationship that it sounds like your brother had where he was like the American songbook guy. But I think that's what really started making me pay attention is feeling outclassed by them, dissecting them, and then almost not by choice, just forcibly connecting with the different pieces of them and admiring them, like almost like I was a kind of a crappy carpenter, and I'm reverse engineering some beautiful house a guy made. Like, damn, look at this hinge. How am I supposed to? How do you do that? That was kind of my relationship with them.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kinda how it was for me learning to write. I never had a formal education in writing, so, like, I just read Dostoevsky and Flaubert and stuff like that, and then you get down there and try to do it, and, like, fuck, it's a lot harder than it looks. I mean, it takes a
Yeah.
long time to learn. So, like, talk to me about cruise ship culture, because I know, I mean, what's that gig like? I mean, I know there's rules, right? I mean, like, I don't know. I know you've told me there was a point where like you were allowed to drink and you could like, I mean, people just be
Oh.
buying you drinks all night long. I
Oh yeah.
remember telling you told me you put like 20, 25 shots away some nights and you like got
Yeah.
like 300 pounds or something at one point just from
I
just the
was.
alcohol. Um, what
Yeah. It
are
was
some of
wild.
yeah, I mean, what other kind of rules are going? Because like I only see it as a cruiser. We only know it as like what's the inside of me like is stay away from horny cruisers. Like you don't are you not supposed to really fraternize with the
Yeah.
people
I mean,
or
kinda
you're
like you're not supposed to drive in the HOV lane here in Seattle, and it's a calculated risk you're willing to take. Like, there's rules for sure. So you're to be clear, you weren't ever supposed to be drunk, but as a piano bar guy, come on. Like, also, I don't know how it is nowadays, but back then, if your bar was killing, and mine was, I think I was one, if not the top revenue, piano bar and carnival for at least a couple years in a row. And then when I switched to working other kinda classier um, lines like how in America, the drinking wasn't as big of a thing in the bar revenue. They didn't push as much. But on Carnival, if your bar was killing and you were bringing in money, you could kind of do what you want. Like I did some wild stuff out there, and you were right. There was a time where I used to drink these Jaeger bombs, and my tolerance got so high, and it wasn't because I was there trying to drink or sad or dry. People buying, what are you drinking? Ah, I have a Jaeger bomb because the Jaeger was good for the vocal cords, and the Red Bull keeps you a little bit amped, so you're not sloppy. So that was my go-to. And then I ended up switching to this drink that a dancer named Mel, she named it a popsicle because my nickname out there was Pops. They called me Pops because I scolded a kid in front of one band guy. Look at Pops over here. But a popsicle was a pint glass with 3 shots of Jaeger and a whole Red Bull and ice with a straw. So instead of a Jaeger bomb like a shot, it was my. But easily I would hit 20, 25 Jaeger bombs back then. And there was a werewolf Brian in here that comes out with that. And
damn son.
people,
Like
people,
I thought I was a copious drinker.
it was bad. And I wouldn't even be that buzzed. Like if I
Well, that's
had,
how it is for me. Yeah, I mean, I metabolize it so quick. And if you're working the room and you're playing your chops and you're making friendly with the people and just like I mean, you have so much adrenaline, you just burn
yeah,
through that stuff.
it's a young man's game too. I was mid to late 20s, mid 20s back then. So, brand new liver practically. Now pushing 42, not the same. But yeah, so you weren't supposed to drink, but you did. You weren't supposed to fraternize, but you did. And then piano bar culture on cruise ships is a really interesting, like, weird thing that I've since dissected. Cruise ships are a weird thing. So where do you want to go on
All that
cruise
you
culture?
just go, man.
All
I'm
right.
tell me stories, man. Wax.
So cruise ship culture is interesting. I'll tell you a funny story recently that'll help kind of set this. I think most people who've worked on a cruise ship no longer like cruise ships or that life anymore because it burns out quick. It's really cool at the beginning, like your brother in the story, like waiting for the gig. Oh man, it was the gig of my dreams when I got it. You do it for a few years and you start to feel more like a carnival sideshow. Like you're doing all this cool stuff that should make you happy, but you're not. Like you should be saving a lot of money because you don't have bills, but you don't, right? You have, beautiful women from all over the world that are working there that you can date. but they all leave within 3 months. So you're like,
Or they got an aluminum
well,
locker.
yeah, well, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm talking about the crew. So you have all this crew that you would
Oh,
date
right. Okay.
or passengers that you're hooking up with, but it's all fleeting. So it's this like I used to tell people that cruise ship life is like what the devil would give you if you made a wish, but it's that weird movie where like all of it ended up shitty. You know, you're like in theory this should be awesome, but then you're really out there kind of sad and dark, and there's a lot of dark uh cruise ship employees out there because of that. And you know, if you're on land, you'd be looking at those guys like, how could you not appreciate this amazing thing? And it's just really different when you start to live it because it's this consumerism, concentrate, everything's fleeting, no lasting relationships, no lasting love, no home because you probably are living transient like I did. Like you're not going to keep an apartment while you're gone 6 to 8 months. Like, so it's a very different type of lifestyle. It can be cool for a little while or cool with the right mindset, but it can't get very old.
I mean, it sounds to me, I've been on some long tours, like, where
Mm,
they go on for 4 months, but, you come home for a week or 2, thank God, I got that, and I did have a home to come home to, so that was good, but there is a certain thing that kinda comes to say you do get a little dissolute when you're kinda living out of the same little tiny room all the time
yeah,
like, especially if, like, you're doing 25 Jaeger bombs and, like, you get home and,
yeah,
like, "Here I am again, so,
yeah.
um, tell me some stories that you can tell only now that you don't work on the cruise lines.
Okay, man. Okay, so I'll tell you a creepy story. I wish a psychologist, if you know any psychologists that can analyze this, there is a very specific type of crazy. And in my experience, it was always a specific type of crazy lady that I would meet. And this is and I probably met 15 of them or 20 over the years. This is a woman that imagined a piano bar romance like for months or a year before her cruise. She has a whole story in her head about how it's going to go. And then she comes there and she is trying to force this story on you. And the way that it usually unfolds is the room's empty and I'm like waiting for it to people to walk by. 'Cause that's how it works. I might be in the room before it starts and then the comedy show or something's going to let out and I'm going to rip up Johnny Be Good or something crazy to get them all in. And on some rooms you got to time it that way cuz you're not going to get foot traffic. You got a couple shots to get them, keep them for 2 or 3 hours, get them drunk, take their money, send them to the comedy show. Like that's how it is. This lady will usually come in and she'll sit right next to you and she'll ask for Misty or some other cliche. And when you play it, they'll like look at you like weirdly. And it's just you and this person. And it's the awkwardest because the room's not full. You're like waiting for the room to fill. And they're like forcing this romance. And what I learned is if you start to reject that too quickly, they will snap like Jekyll and Hyde
Well, play
and like,
Misty for me. You
yeah,
just
yeah.
use that, yeah, yeah.
I do it, but it's not enough to play Misty. They wanna look at you in the eyes the whole time, like, and make a thing, and it can be very creepy, and then they get jealous when the room fills up and your attention's, split, and it's weird that it wasn't the first time I met one of these people, I was like, "What a crazy lady," and then, like, 6 months later, there was a different lady, like, exact pattern, and over years, I met that same lady, the same way that she would snap, but a different lady, right? It's not the same. So that was one weird thing is some of the expectations that people put
It's the
on something.
songs. There's so much romance in the songs. I mean,
They need it. They need
they're
the outlet.
almost all about love, and they describe as sort of simpler love. Like that's interesting.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. The other weird thing about ships, I think, is it gave me a really good opportunity to learn about I call it the stuff that we put in the hollow box. The theory being there's a hollow box in all of us, and we try to fill it with stuff, sometimes with booze or drugs or travel or trips or things like that. So you encounter a lot of people on the cruise ships that like this cruise is going to be everything for me, right? Like these massive expectations and watching that play out on a massive level in a closed ecosystem floating is really interesting. Just how drunk people get, the drama that erupts, the because but the root of all of it is I have these expectations of awesome and I'm so built up for it. And it's kind of the same syndrome with the lady that wants the piano bar or thing, or a guy that's decided he's going to be the funniest dude, but he's the one that gets escorted out of the comedy show because he won't shut up. Watching all the way that people kind of freak out and break down, and at the root of it is this. like everything's gonna be awesome. This is my thing. Like the cruise is trying to fill that hollow box, but it's never what they think. And that's what cruise ships are, I think. It's just like a, I don't know what to do or what I want. Let's go on a cruise. Like for most people, some folks are like, no, I want to see Alaska, and I research, and that's a whole different audience. But for the booze cruise crowd, it's really like a, I don't know, let's do this. It's gonna be awesome. And
I mean, it sounds pretty good to me. I mean, there's 6 bars and I can't drive.
I mean,
Somebody else is literally, like, steering the ship, but, like, have you ever seen like, I know that the cruise can make a difference. Were you always hauling America?
no, no, I was Carnival
Okay,
for a
so
long time, and that was wild.
okay, so there's different like, I think we had, on our ship, I think it was this all Filipino crew or something like that, and
Yeah,
there was, like, I don't know, there's a real great, polite, like, good vibe, like, you could tell the
so good.
crew was happy.
Yes.
You find this in hospitality in general, like, you can tell when, like, the crew of a place is happy versus, like, the crew of the place is, like, taking money out of the till or
Yeah.
just,
And Carnival isn't horrible or anything, but I will say Holland America, I think, had a really cool standard for crew. A big difference on Holland America is all of the officers are Dutch and English, and this is not any kind of commentary on one culture over another, but I think maybe the schools are different, the approaches are different than a lot of them are Italian and Greek. And there's a little bit more bravado in that, a little bit more top down leadership. I had a better experience on Holland America in terms of quality of life, and I think you're picking up on that too. Also, Holland America is an elevated crowd compared to some of the more affordable lines. So that goes a long way. Like it was a lot more sustainable for me to play on that ship. And I've talked to other folks too that are playing, Azamara. I don't even know if they're still around, but some of the nicer lines, Cunard. It's a different clientele. But just like with anything, man, the less people pay for a thing, the more complainers and just miserable that they are. And I've not only on cruise ships, I think we all know that that's true across most things. It's definitely that for cruise ships as well.
And again, it's expectations, like, they're sold this expectations, and from that, maybe there's a certain entitlements are born or something like that, like, I was told that this was going to change my life, why isn't
Well, did I tell you the story about when I got fired from
No, I never
Carnival?
heard about that.
So
I didn't have 25 Jaeger bombs, didn't even have anything to do with it.
Oh, so I was so dark. So I kept extending my contract, and because the other person could not come, so I stayed, and I'd already been out there like 18 months, which is like a no no. You weren't supposed to do that, but I kept thinking I'd save money, and I didn't because
So you
that's the
18
life.
months, no break, you were living
I
on
was living out there 18 months. Yeah. Now for the first part of that contract, the home port was my hometown of Tampa, so I got to see my family for like 6 hours once a week. But then the ship relocated, so I was into this, and I was dark, man, and just in the thick of it. I definitely needed a vacation, and
that was the irony.
yeah, right. So I'm waiting for the show to empty out, and I'm waiting to like play wild stuff to fill up my room for the night. Like it's important for me, it's important for the bar. This moment is like the cattle are unleashed. They come walking, and then I play stuff. Well, so it's formal night, so we're all in suits. You're supposed to be nice. And I want you to imagine like a real redneck. Like not trying to be a redneck, like could not help. This is a redneck with a sleeveless NASCAR t-shirt, and I'm wearing a hat that says dang on it. So I know this. He walks in, he goes, "Hey, play piano man." Now, you can't ask me to do that right now because I need to save Piano Man for the end, and they're about to come out any minute. I'm like, "Hey man, this room's about to fill up. It's gonna be so much more fun than just us. If you just sit tight for a little while, it's gonna be such a fun show, and I'll play Piano Man for you, but just sit tight." And then he said this exactly. He said, "Listen here. I didn't pay over $240 to come on this here 7-day cruise to have you tell me what is and ain't gonna happen. So how about less yapping and more Piano Man?" Like it was almost redneck poetry, and just the bravado. And I don't know where it came from, but I still directly remember what I said, and I didn't even think it through. I was like, "Look, man, I know you're probably the smartest guy at the transmission factory you work in Greenbow, Alabama, or wherever you're from, but let me do the piano stuff. You can focus on the redneck stuff. Just sit down and shut up, and it's gonna be a good show. Just chill out." Right? So he's getting real pissed, but before he can, the people come, and I think Johnny B. Good or something, it fills up. So he leaves pissed, and I'm like, got him. Like, it's kind of rough for a passenger that might come back to buy me. Let's see. So my bar fills up. I'm crushing it. Like people are standing up on stuff. Like by the time he comes back, the piano bar is like wild. And he comes back in and starts heckling me, right? He's like, you suck and this kind of stuff. Play piano, man. Like, it's not time yet. No, I'll never play piano. I'll never play it for you. I may have told the room that because what I used to do back then with a heckler is I never addressed them. If I have the room on my side, I turn the room on you. Oh, guys, he said I suck. Do I suck? They're like, no. I'm like, maybe he sucks. Yeah, they throw stuff like.
Okay, that's
So they did
smart.
that. Yeah, you turn the room on them. It's not me. If I get in trouble, I can tell them, guys. No, I asked the room, are they happy? And then they turned on the guy. I didn't know So they did that to him. He left mad. So then he came back and he came up on stage while I was actually playing Piano Man, and he whispered in my
How
ear.
many nights into the cruise are we here? Is this like
This is
night
the
one?
this is like the last night of the
Oh,
cruise, and
thank
I've never
God. What
seen
if
this
this had
guy.
happened on the first night? Oh,
Yeah, so I was so dark and crispy. This dude came and whispered, "Well, I want to let you know, I went and I told the front desk all about you, and they're gonna fire you. I bet. I want you to know you just should have done." And he's like something like right in my ear while I'm playing it, and I'm playing Piano Man, and I didn't even mean for it to be this creepy. It clearly creeped him out. I didn't try for it to be this way, but I started playing the solo for Piano Man, which I can kind of shred up. And he said, I want to let you know. And I was like, well, I want to let you know I'm from Tampa and I could get off the ship before you. And now you made an enemy with you. So I'm going to see you tomorrow off the ship if you think you want to. And I gave him some little something, threatener, like, haha. And then he left. And I was like, okay, that's probably the end of that. Well, it was not. Whatever I said to him, probably the polarity of playing a piano solo while like talking very rudely to someone, it really freaked him out. So he went and he would not tell the front desk what happened. He just kept asking for an escort to his car. And they're like, well, we have limited staff. Like, sir, why? Well, I just don't feel safe. And I would have never, you know me, I would have never hurt the guy. I just was kind of playing back. But it really freaked him out. So then eventually somebody wore this dude down. He's like, well, I shouldn't have pushed him because I had a friend who was there. He's like, the guy was like defending you. I don't know what he was defending you the whole time. He's like, it's not his fault. And I was out of line and I had too much. But I really think he said he could get off before me. So
you're
they
killing
found
me.
out. Yeah, it was bad, dude. And on ships, here's the thing. They won't fire you like in the middle of a cruise because of like safety. They're worried you'll freak out. So what they do is they tell you, hey, John, what the thing you did, yeah, don't do that again, but you're fine. We love you. And you think everything's fine that you dodged a bullet. And then they give you what we all know is called the 6 o'clock knock. You're asleep at 6 in the morning and you get a knock and you hear the security radios and they're like, pack your shit and get off the ship. So when you get to home port, if you ever thought you were fired on a ship, you never really know if you're fired until 6 a.m. in the home port. Like, that's when you know, like, all right, I woke up and I'm good. Like, I'm fine. So they told me, Bryan, you're fine. He sounds like he was so terrible. Like, don't worry. And I'm like, I have too much stuff to pack last minute. Like, we're
You've been
cool.
on the ship
Just
for 18 months.
tell me if I'm out so I can pack and it'll be cool. Like, and they're like, no, you're fine. I packed anyway. Like, I knew, because you can't threaten people. And then I got the 6 o'clock knock. I had to get fired, but that's the level of darkness you can get out there. Like playing, 4 or 5 hours a night for drunks for a year. The kind of things people address you, but also the audience and the clientele. You're gonna get whatever that dude's name was from wherever he was. I didn't pay over $250 to come on this 7-day cruise.
$240.
The fact that he put the math, the ridiculous math of what a deal that is, like he put it in his sentence like I'm a high roller. That's what I think. It just triggered me. And then yeah, I lost that gig. But then I was back out there a little bit later. So
I forgot how funny you are, man. More stories. More. So what are other fireable offenses? Like
failing
who else
drug
have you had?
tests. So if you go
Okay, so
out,
then what kind of drug tests? I mean, you can't smoke
oh,
weed in the.
so I got a really funny thing to notice is if you ever go on a cruise to an island like Belize, where there's no prescriptions required for prescription drugs, like pay attention to the crew, because we would like new guys would just come out there and they would like they go to a pharmacy and like back then there was like they had gumball machines in some of these pharmacies with like Vicodin and Oxycontin and shit, and I think it's gotten better now, but back then like people would go to these ports and just come back like it's just not just like their faces numb. And it was so funny because if you had a ship that was like, oh, we go to Belize or we go to these places where there's prescription drugs, like all the bartenders were new, like like kind of pour lighter, like see where people are at. I knew in my piano bar it was gonna be hard to like you're gonna have half the room that's hard to pick them up because they're and you're gonna have half the room is like woo, like ready, and you're like, and you got both the fire and ice, and you're trying to manage that. But a story that comes to mind, man, there was we had a ship where it was really hard to keep trumpet players because in this particular show, there was a moment that broke down and the like all the lights went off and a little like drum roll came up and a spotlight came and he had to like hit this like triple C, which is a very, very high note on trumpet. And he had to like hold it and shake it. And then it was like, da-dum, pam, pam, ba-da-ba-da-ga, and then all the dancers came back. But if you botch this, there was no way to know it. Like, no way to save it. Like it was, you weren't blending in with the band. So this guy, like we had gone through 2 or 3 trumpet players that just couldn't do it every night. And this new guy came and everyone said he was great. And we heard him practicing backstage. So we were all kind of talking about the guy, like, yeah, he's the guy. Well, we go to Belize. And this, I don't know what the dude ate. I don't know what he drank. But he came back and was talking to us in the crew bar, and it was I can't even emulate it. It wasn't even like a drunk thing. It was the guy, "That is Jonathan, Jonathan has eyes taken." And then he'd be super clear for a moment, and it would deteriorate. It was the weirdest, like it's like if somebody had a volume switch of lots of pills and coffee and ready to teach a class. It was like so unpredictable. And I was like, good God, like this. And we all knew, like, dude, he's got to hit that triple C in the show. It's the first time he's hit the triple C. So like all the crew, because we're assholes, like we went, like we dressed up for formal night. Like we're waiting to see this. And I'll never forget this in my life. We're like watching the show. The breakdown comes, right? The lights go off, the spotlight comes up. He basically goes like, and at the last minute looked up like, oh. And then the show started, and I felt so evil because I knew he was going home. I was dying laughing. Just the humanity in it that, like, to think about it, like, why rewind? You know the state you're in. You know there's no pressure in your mouth, and you didn't even lie and get out of doing it. Like, you went, and you're like, so I admire this person. He's gonna do it, and he filled his lungs and gave his all. It just wasn't enough. It just what, and then the little millisecond, oh, like he knew he was done.
Oh God.
I never forget it in my life. Like,
I don't just keep telling me stories, dude.
oh
You're
man,
killing me. I need this so bad. I've had my editor of 6.5 books. I found out he died today, and I've been really depressed all
oh,
day. No, this is exactly what I need. You were healing me with your
uh,
laughter right now.
no,
More cruise stories.
that was a good one, and I hope that somebody never. I think if he watched this, he'd laugh. But that one got me. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other wilds. The other part of it is just watching how quick people will turn on each other. Like I've watched people just trample old ladies because they thought there was a fire. There was no fire. Like I saw a priest trample some people once when he thought there was an emergency, and that's what let me know. Like on those, so ships, people are always worried about ships sinking. Here's a little education: it's like nearly impossible to sink a cruise ship. Even the Costa ship that you saw that like tipped over, it never sank. And the reason they won't sink is because they have between 5 and 7 flood compartments, which are like these vertical walls all the way through the ship, and these doors can seal so they won't flood. And these ships can float with like 5 out of 7 compartments flooded. So to actually sink one, you'd have to like cut a big slit all the way down the side, which is what the Costa ship did on a basically a rock, but it didn't even sink. So these ships are not sinking in an emergency.
Yeah, all that water just becomes like ballast at some
Yeah,
point, right?
it's
I mean, it's a
not.
very deep bottom boat.
It's not. You're not sinking. But what will happen is people will freak out and trample you and like, oh man, like we had a fire that we had to sound the general emergency alarm, which is people go to their muster station. I won't say which ship, but it was one that had left Miami, and we were like 45 minutes out of port. And this was just like a make people go stand out there. It's in the back, it's contained, but like to be extra safe, let's have them go there. Good Lord, they'd have been better off just not sounding any alarm. Like the humanity I saw of like families trampling families, just like the freak out. Like I learned so much about humans. Like, and then there was no way to control them. We're supposed to be there with megaphones. Like, please remain calm. Walking Dead, like like people just switched. And that was a wild thing to see. And it made me remember, like, okay, if I'm ever in one of these emergencies, I'm not following any rules. I'm going to go to the bow where the people aren't allowed to be, and I'm going to stand there until help comes because this thing is not sinking. In the worst, if it goes on its side, I'll sit on it. But get away from the people. And I've always been, it made me claustrophobic. I'm weird in trains and like concerts now. Like since then, I didn't used to have a phobia, but a couple times on ships, seeing people freak out during emergencies really like kind of changed my perspective on crowds and humans in emergency. That's not a funny story. That's
No,
just a
but
real
that and
one.
it's interesting, dude. All of this is interesting, but God, thank you for the laughs are killing me. Like so your claustrophobia in this case is really more about the overcrowding. It's not
Yeah.
so much like I got that claustrophobia, like if I get locked in a like I've been in a couple situations where like I get locked in a small space and the door won't open and like I just start sweating. But like yours is more because of everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, just it's funny. I took my wife to a Linkin Park concert here in Seattle. They came, and I'm not the biggest Linkin Park guy, but if it wasn't for Linkin Park, my wife and I wouldn't be married because she's French, and she loved Linkin Park as a teenager so much. It's why she learned English. She learned English like translating Linkin Park lyrics. So when they came here, we were happy, and we got standing room in the floor and tried to get there kind of early, and like a mosh thing broke out behind me without me knowing. So I just got hit from behind and then turning around and all these people going crazy, not my comfort zone. Like this is my like some people are arachnophobic or whatever, like large groups of tight people that I can't just like quickly escape. So we had to like go stand by the back. But I believe cruise ships did that to me. I went through
I
a
don't.
couple.
Oh God, you'd probably never be able to do it again, right? I mean,
I could go on one, but if the emergency alarm happens, I don't think I would ever. There's a couple that I would do. If I did a cruise, there's a couple cruises I would go on. Um, I think if people really want to see Alaska, that's a cool cruise because you see the glaciers. Being on the ship in the glaciers is really cool. And then if you want to see Norway, there's certain cities that you can only get through a ship, and sailing the fjords and the waterfalls on them is like a really cool experience. So I'd say like for me, the only way I'd ever do a cruise again is probably if it's really something specific to a ship being advantageous to see a collection of places or a set of natural features. But I've had my fill on ships though.
yeah, well, 'cause Southeast Alaska kinda I mean, I haven't been to Norway, I really wanna go to Norway. Shout out to my buddies, Knut and Jan, because I wanna go visit them. But it kinda seems a little bit like South, like, with the narrow waterways and the giant
Yeah.
mountains and the fjords. But, like, most cruises, have you done, like, Caribbean type cruises or
Oh, yeah, dude. So I've done when I was out there, I probably should have probably saw 90 countries, over the, 8 or 9, maybe 10 years that I was out there. I did pretty much every Caribbean island. I did repositionings, in from, like, California to Florida through South America. I've gone through the Panama Canal. The longest I ever did, actually, I got on the Holland America Westerdam, and I love that ship like it's a
that was
mother.
my ship, that was the ship I met you on,
Yeah,
was the
so if
Westerdam,
you were on
yeah.
the Westerdam, I don't know when you got on relative to this journey, but I was doing Alaska and, some other parts of the US and Mexico. Then the ship did a repo through the Panama Canal. Repo means it went down through South America and it repositioned its home port to Florida. Then it did from Florida, I did a couple Caribbean runs. I don't know, were you on Alaska or the Caribbean when you came?
That was Alaska.
Okay, so you were in Alaska, so the first part of that leg. So right after you left, then we did Caribbean for a while, and after Florida, then 6 days at sea, transatlantic, a bunch of European runs, some Norway, and then this was when the World Cup was in South Africa. We did 16 days at sea down to South Africa, and I was down there for the World Cup, which the energy was amazing. And then rode it back up, did a couple more. I think we did parts of Israel and the Black Sea, did some more Norway, and then I got off. And that was like, I was on that ship for like a year because the runs was just so great. But I think I had a strong emotional connection with it. I've seen that ship in port, Jonathan, and this is weird. It's weird to not know you're attached to something. I've seen it in port and got emotional and had a tear.
I don't yeah, it was
Like
your home,
that,
dude.
yeah, but that one specific, and the people that were on it too, I'm still good friends. There were some ride or die awesome musicians and people that I'm still close with, and it was like that Westy crew. Like something about that was, some people have that year in college or business school or a job, but that Westerdam run was pretty amazing.
So that you bring up an interesting point that when you're talking about going to 90 countries all over the world, you're talking about. I mean, you've talked about some of the similarities about all that humanity in a boat and the kind of shit that happens just by human nature. But talk to me about the differences between like your portly couples from Oklahoma, the American $240 guys versus like what's your European crowd, or is it just a European version of that? Tell me about different crowds in different places. Do you have a certain crowd more certain continents? Do they draw kind of more of a higher class person or just like a more polite person? Just you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
So what I yeah,
Run
no,
with that.
totally. So I definitely say the biggest segment is on price. Like, and it's when you go on a cheaper cruise, it's not like everybody on the cruise is trash. Like it's not that kind of thing. There's some people that come out there, and these are the people that I was like, I'm gonna make your cruise amazing. They're just excited, and they're like, we saved all year to come and we're so excited. And you're like, oh, like I'm gonna try to get the chef to show you backstage. I'm so happy that you're here. Like I don't care how much money you make. I don't like you're happy to be here. But then there's a different kind of person that's like, I paid $300 for this, and now I want to come out here and treat everyone like shit because that's how I identify with what being important is. And then that person, you're kind of like, you get a lot of those, and that's kind of. I just think they haven't grown yet out of that. So it's not even always price, but I will say the cheaper cruises are the wilder and the ruder. You still get the diamonds in the rough, and then when you start to get up to where like 10-day cruises, 7 and 10 days start to be a cooler my favorite demographic because you got people that are young enough to have fun, but they're paying enough to like not want to condescend. There seems to be a link between low price and the desire to condescend and be rude to people. And maybe it's because people are rude to them, and that's human nature. Now it's their turn, and
Right, right.
it happens. But that 7 to 10 day run, I think I met the coolest people. 'Cause it's enough where it's like, hey, we paid to come out here. We want to have fun. And then when you get people that are dropping more than back then, 10 to 20 grand, you start to get the like very demanding high expectations. And then I think when you get people dropping more than 40 grand, they are very like very chill. As long as you mind the P's and Q's and you deliver on that cost, like so I'd say that it's really those bands. I will say that European crowds I thought were a little bit more chill and open. They were a little bit less in my face, which I kind of liked sometimes. The American crowds, man, they were the hecklers. You get more hecklers out of America, I'd say, than I did in even the UK. You expect Australians to be jerks, but they were actually always pretty nice. I don't know why I had that expectation, but they were pretty cool. But Americans in the low bracket, man, were tough. It was a lot of they would try to stump you, especially in the piano bar, dude. There's some people that like don't even want to hear the song. They just want to stump you to feel cool. Like play Norwegian Wood by the Beatles. And I'm like, man, actually I don't know that one. I know the other 20 that most people know. Well, how could you not know Norwegian Wood? And then here was I always go, can you hum it? Yeah, you don't even know it. You don't even want to sing it. You're just being a stumper. But you get a lot of those over here. So that was the main thing. Price. I think price is the big divider. Um,
That's really interesting to me that of all it makes sense, but I would just think like like one thing I've always noticed as a tourist is like if I'm in New York or any tourist attraction anywhere that's drawing Europeans or people from all over the world is that they have a different sense of personal space. Like I feel like they kind of crowd in you a little
yeah, that's
more and it's
fair.
just like, you know what I mean? Like I'm getting the elbow and the ribs and it's just like some old lady or like I don't know. Like I thought there would be more like cultural differences and how they, how they in the context of traveling, but it
I'll
does,
tell
it
you,
comes kinda come down to price point a little, huh?
the funnest group that I've ever seen. I can say we used to talk about charter cruises. Are you familiar with the concept of charters?
No, no.
So
Well, I mean, you pay for the whole
you pay
cruise,
for the
and
whole
then
ship.
oh, okay,
So
okay.
you're a company with some audience, and you have the confidence that you can fill the ship up with this audience. There's a blues cruise. So some company was like, we have enough blues fans that we're gonna pay up front, take the financial risk to like rent the ship, decide the itinerary, pay for the staff, and then we're gonna sell tickets to come see all these blues stars. There's a blues cruise.
Yeah, my friend we had Danny Bland on the show who is, he's a tour manager, and he was while we had him on the show, he was on one of those blues cruises.
So those are great. Then there's the memorable ones. There's swinger cruises. Those are
Okay.
super creepy. We can talk about those.
Okay.
And then
Let's do.
there was gay cruises. So there was the gay man cruise, and I think that was called Atlantis. And then there was one called Olivia, which was the gay woman cruise. I will say, I I had gay friends that I thought were awesome. I did not know how much fun those guys have until I was on some of those ships, man. Like one of the funniest moments I had, it was like 7:30, maybe 8 in the morning, and I was I had my morning coffee and I was going up to the Lido deck to get some breakfast, and like the party was just winding down, and like the doors open and like an oiled up, like he looked like real life He-Man. Just and I mean the leather and everything, like a muscular dude in like a thong, like all the butt meat was out with like a like strap, like I don't even know what it's for, but just chest straps. And he came in and he was still kind of dancing. And then he just kind of like, in a drug induced drunken left. And but also there was just like the loveliest gay couple. Like the guy looked like Mr. Rogers with a little sweater, and they were there. And the guy gets off, and the dude next to me goes, I didn't know it was gonna be this way. I'm so sorry. We are not all like that. I just wanted to read and like this is crazy. And I was like laughing. So I was like, this is fine. They're having fun. But like it was so funny to like see somebody more shocked than me that was like they were learning about this community. I'm like, this is well, yeah, they're having fun, man. But like and the fact that they thought they owed me an apology, I was like, I was fine. Like he's not bothering me. But that just always I remembered it. The little sweater too. You would have had to see it. Like clutching it. I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was like this. Like it's okay, man.
Oh my
Have
god.
fun.
Okay, I'm not gonna let you go farther with that. We got to hear about the swinger cruise because that sounds like that could get truly
Dude,
weird.
and the nude cruises turn into swinger cruises. The worst thing about the
Oh, there's a nude
well, here's what
cruise?
happens.
Like, oh my
You can't
gosh.
have a swinger cruise, but they come in as a nude cruise charter. So it's billed as nude and then there's swingers. And the worst thing is the
Do you
smell.
gotta be nude as
You don't
the
gotta be nude,
entertainer?
no, and you don't even have to be on it, but they will charter these and they'll do nude cruises. And the worst thing is the smell. I played one night on one, and then I said that was it. But the funniest thing I remember, and by the way, these are everybody's beautiful, Jonathan, but these are not the people you would if you had a lineup of who you'd want to see naked. These would probably not be in your top.
Well, I mean, I would be on
Yeah,
that lineup,
yeah,
which is one of the things
yeah,
I've been going through a little nudist stage, like we're one day a week, and I live, the
yeah. You could
cabin's
walk
totally.
around.
You've been out there.
Yeah.
I could walk around nude, and part of it for me is because I got like body dysmorphia because my dad was a bodybuilder.
Oh,
He couldn't
right.
walk by like anything, like a stainless steel refrigerator without lifting his sleeve up to check out his tricep,
Yep.
or maybe like do the lats or something. So like I grew up with kind of this sort of body dysmorphia. So like I'm loving the nude thing just by myself. Main thing, couple pro tips. Check your Amazon delivery schedule.
Oh,
You know what I
wow.
mean? Yeah.
Yes, they're gonna
Yeah.
pop up.
Don't get too friendly with your cat. There's a couple of lessons I've learned the hard way, but yeah, so you don't have to. I get where you're going with that, but I kind of like it because like it's sort of inspiring to me that the people you see on the nude cruise are not the people that you would think you want to see. I mean, I think it's kind of cool that those are the people that are
Well, I
going
like
and
that
just like
too, but
owning it. Here I
I
am
will
naked.
say this, I think there's a difference between you or me, like, wanting to feel unencumbered by clothing and be naked, and there were definitely those people out there that were just like, "This is my freest self." Then there's also people that are like, "I want you to see me naked," and that's different, and you could there's a difference, and just like with every crowd, there's little personas that you have to just figure out, and some people are like, "This is just my natural," and you're like, "Oh, that's fine. This is a completely benign nudist." Then there's nudists that are like, "I'm gonna stand in front of you, weird. Like, look at this," and you're like, "Oh, that's fine." So there was like a mixture of those, and then you get the swingers, which like it was like we almost needed a hose, like just any corner of the ship. I was like, "Hey, you can't just do that here. You can't do that." But my also, there was one memory that was it was stuck in my mind. There was a very large woman who was naked on a nude cruise, and in the piano bar. I don't know if it was like this on the ship you were on. On this ship, I was on a piano that could rotate, and it was a circular bar around it that people could sit at. But I didn't always turn the rotate lever. But she was directly in front of me, and she was very large. and built in a way that her breasts were basically sitting on the bar, and her drink was between them, and she was moving to the song like this, but the boobs were not. They were just like these stationary, and she was having the best time of
Like
her life.
sandbags
Yeah,
or something.
just were not moving. They just I don't even know if she set them there on purpose, but I just it's not something you run across a lot. You don't see. So there was a lot of that kind of stuff out there. I think they ended up doing away with those. I want to say the one that I was on, and I just did a
I mean, you seems like you could get into some kinda sketchy situations
yeah.
where you need, like, a heightened security on a
Yeah,
nudist,
I don't think they do them anymore, and it was the smaller ships, but those were some of the weirder ones. The gay cruises actually, I was super intimidated because they were big songbook fans, and usually there was 10 guys on that ship that could play and sing all the songs that that bar wanted to hear much, much better than me, and I learned that the first time. They just got frustrated with me. They're like, "We know you're really good at the pop rock thing, but can this guy try?" And the dude was, like, killed. Like, I became an audience member, so then after that, I usually opted out because, like, usually the charter would be like, "Hey, they usually bring their own piano bar guys, so those are usually weeks off for me, and I just got to kinda, like, enjoy the vibe and see all the interesting people and kinda see the commentary, so I didn't play those a lot, but, man, there was some just talented. I don't know if they were piano bar guys in their day life or if it was just their hobby and they loved it, but some of the best performers that I heard do some of that music, like, put me to shame, like, talk about put your ego down a little, like, man, like, show me some of what you did, we're on those
I mean,
cruises.
there's that trope about gay guys in the Great American Songbook
Yeah,
and, like, torch songs and stuff like that, so, when there's a trope, there usually is some sort of
something. It's not everybody, but
cultural
but
kernel of truth
but
to
yeah,
it
it was
somewhere.
those were wild charters.
Oh my god, dude. I'm having so much fun with you. You are so funny. I forgot how funny you were. How old were you when you started playing music? And have you ever done comedy?
I've started
'Cause you're
to
really you dude, you were really funny. I mean, like, you tell a mean story. I've had a lot of guests, and I can honestly say, like, this is, like, our 50 something, I think, episode we've recorded, and I nobody's ever made me laugh this hard.
Oh, dude, thank you for that compliment. I started to dabble in stand-up a little bit, and then I had to stop because of where I'm at with my mindfulness practice. Most of my comedy I was writing was, like, dark, and I had to, like, decide, like, do I wanna dwell on these things? So I had, like, a little 5 minutes together, and I was going to open mics and doing it, and then between a business I was running and a demanding job, I kinda had to go, like, with your spare time, is, like, this the most important thing? And I decided no, like, writing music, making
And if you're
synthesizer.
dark, it's I think my understanding is that, like, stand-up is, like, a really long learning curve, like, I heard Theo Von say, like, the first 10 years of comedy is just, like, humiliation, and exercise in humiliation kinda thing, like,
Yeah.
it's
Well, you know what got me, like, and this is why I always wanna prove it to myself. When I was really thought I would try to do comedy for a while, and the reason I was giving myself is that in the piano bar days, there were long parts of time that I would not play, and I would just talk to the room, and I'd have them
right, I
dying.
mean, that was part of that's what you're supposed to do, work the room.
Yeah.
That's how you make it your room, is your
Yeah,
repartee.
so I was curious, like, could I translate this over, but never really gave it too much serious thought. Now my current gig keeps me busy. I've been learning classical pieces that I choose that are just, in theory, so far out of my depth, I should not be able to play them, and I just use it almost like a disciplined means of improvement. Like, just it might be 1 or 2 bars a week I'm able to learn, but I just rock from Rachmaninoff to some of the Beethoven stuff and Chopin and stuff that, as a guy growing up playing blues, I shouldn't be playing, and that's been a cool journey. So that's mainly what I do with music now. And I'm still writing some stuff. I'm always threatening to drop an album, but I haven't yet. It's probably procrastination, probably life, but I'm sitting at a recording studio right now that I set up. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do some stuff.
So let me ask you a question, this is more of a performative question because I just came off a weekend where I did this keynote and then I did a large breakout session with like 100 people too, which is almost like I mean for a writer, like yeah, you get 100 people and it's like a full bookstore
Yeah.
kind of thing. So there's a lot of people all day and then I had a signing line that was like 2 hours long and like for me, I'm, like, very personal with every person. I write a damn novel. It was so nice meeting you. And Edmonds, I really enjoyed our conversation about whatever we talked about. Like, you just give, you know what I mean? And, like, I know, like, when I knew comedians back in LA, and other actors and you hung out with those people, I noticed that they get energy from that. So when I think about the piano bar, like my brother, I think it gave him energy. He liked to work the room. He loved that repartee with the audience, and he would afterwards, he'd just be all swollen up and like that was part of the for me, I just wanna go back to my hotel room and just, like I feel I'm just ashamed, like, I just overshared. I just told 100 people about the time I was struggling with ED or something, and I feel full of self-loathing. Like, you'd think it would energize it. You're getting all this love, and everybody tells you, but, like, how do you feel? Like, I mean, do I don't know. I wanna start asking every performer this because 'cause I'm
So
curious,
I
like
got so two things. I think there's a big difference between what I did and what you did. I think you're getting to stand on the foundation and the gravity of real art. Your art, you're exposing so much of your rawest, truest self that that act seems to me like it would be very draining. Compared to what I do, it's very different. I'm in that role, or when I even went on stage for tech companies and things like that, I definitely think I have some kind of a superpower because I almost go into not a catatonic state. I don't remember these things. Like I will crush stages, whether it's tech stuff, whether it's piano stuff, and I don't remember it happening. And for me, I analyze it a lot, and I think what happens is I have some kind. I don't know if I'm a savant at reading mannerisms or if there's a mystical element, but with something about me in a room, something happens, and I'm making a feedback loop of that energy, and I'm being what that room wants, and I'm almost not a part of it.
It's kinda chameleonic, like,
It's
just an ability to adapt your energy. It's almost sorta quantum, dude.
it there
Like,
were
you're
there were
just
gigs
like
I'd play with. I'd wear sunglasses when I was really tired, and I would close my eyes and almost go somewhere else in my head and do a whole show, and it would be just over. Or some of the biggest moments I've had on stage working for tech companies, I don't remember it. Like I go out and I see, 25,000 people in a stadium, and I know I killed it. I don't have one memory of it. Um, and I don't know what that is. And it's a part of myself. I think when I was a kid, um, I didn't have the best upbringing, like the best childhood. And when I tried to make friends, I think I tried to mirror a lot. And it's something that I've got when I've gotten older now, I've noticed that like little things, if I'm standing up in a group like of four people, this other guy can turn on. And I don't want him to because it's not me. If I really want to meaningfully connect with someone, I need to kind of be conscious of the number of people I'm speaking to. And the minute that I start to be the center of that, I can almost feel this thing start to try to happen. And the reason why I've pulled away from that now on a personal level is there were years that a lot of people thought we were great friends and didn't know that we were in a party setting and I just became this guy.
so you probably don't even remember me for the
I
cruise.
remember
Yeah,
you, dude, because you were very
okay.
peculiar because you were just back on your laptop. I'm like, I wonder what job this guy has that he's like, he paid to come out here, and then we hit it off. But no, I think just going back to your point, like for me, I'm actually an introvert. Like I'm good with people, but people don't realize that that word means how do you recharge? I recharge alone. But when it comes to one to many things, I'm not even thinking through it. I don't know what it is about me or my upbringing or the performance background. I don't think about it too much. Something just kind of turns on and then it's over. But contrast that to what you're describing, like, you've been doing it for so many years now that you've worked the muscle, but I think it'd be hard to like if I messed up piano, man, I'm like, who cares what they think? But like when you've really bared your soul and put a part of your life in a piece of work, I can't imagine what that's like. You know why? Because that's my biggest barrier from publishing any of my like real songs that I care about. It's too
Mm.
scary. I can't.
And you're dropping some deep shit on me though, like that stuff about mirroring because from childhood and stuff. That's heavy duty. Like you have such a good understanding of yourself that way. Like I just want to hug these people when they tell me, "Thank God this is what they say." Because I do the same thing. I get up there and I overshare, and I'm dropping all kinds of f bombs. I'm telling way too many personal stories. I got to be careful not to talk about my family and things like that. But usually people say, "I really appreciated your authenticity," and I just want to hug them and cry because it's like, "Thank you." Because I know it seems crazy or performative or whatever it is, but that's just who I am, and thank you, but God, I wanna just go back to my hotel room now and
Yeah.
just, like, get under the
Well, I
covers
think if
and with a
everybody did
bottle.
that, the pressure would, there's this something that happens, and I think social media is making it worse, but it's like, I really don't love when people are trying to present themselves as a shiny, perfect thing. And a lot of times in business, they'll tell you, dress this way, talk this way, this is professional, this is not. And that's all basically, if you really unpack it, it's lying rooted in fear that people won't like you. So you're just deciding, how can I be the safest thing by projecting no weakness? Well, that's actually weakness. I think the strong thing is to know that you are immovable and unshakable enough to share the most vulnerable things, because that's actually how you lift people up. And that's what strength is about, right? How do you let somebody know, like I shared this weird vulnerable thing and maybe they're going through it and they're like, well, hey, I thought that guy was cool and he's going through that. Like, I think if everybody did more of that, things would just be better. For me, it's just I don't wanna be fake and shiny because 'cause I'm not. I don't like shiny fake pianos. I like scratched up, dented ones, and I don't like shiny fake people because it means you're just hiding something. I like people that keep it on their sleeve. So I try to, and maybe I miss certain opportunities or miss certain friends, but I kinda think the right and wrong people kinda self-select in and out when you're authentic.
I don't know, man. You inspire me. I gotta say, man, this has been really fun. You blow me away because as an artist and a creator, and just as a person, it just hasn't been one path for you. I've been on the same path. You've done so much different stuff. You're so good at adapting. I mean, from the music, from going to the blues to the songbook to the now Rachmaninoff. I mean, you're just really. I mean, dude. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today. You've always seemed to find a niche for your talents, and gee, I think you could add podcasting to the list,
Well,
dude.
this is my
I
first one
mean,
ever, man, so thanks for.
dude, you're crazy. This is the easy. It's so easy for me. Like I have all these notes that I haven't got to because you were so engaging. So he is Bryan Roper. I mean, what do we plug for you? Where do
So, I mean, I'm not really repping anything, man. I just you're maybe my favorite living author. I was honored that you asked me to come, and I love talking to you. So yeah, not
Yeah,
plugging
well, pretty
anything.
soon I'm gonna ask you to be my co-host, so don't get too friendly because you're a natural, dude. He is Bryan Roper. He is a legend, and I'm glad I got to share him with you today, and you guys got to meet him. Thank you, Bryan, so much for being our fresh face in hell, buddy.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, Jonathan.